Hi everyone, Frank Spangler for Learning Media Skills, and today we're talking all about audio for video. How do you get good audio when you're using a DSLR camera, or for that matter a mirrorless camera that has become so popular to do video work these days? How do you get good audio while you're filming with these cameras? Lots of ground to cover. Let's get started. Main differences between using a dedicated video camera to do your filming and using a DSLR camera to do your filming is audio. Most of you probably are somewhat familiar with good professional mics. They almost always have a connection that's called XLR to go from the mic to the recording device. And if you look at most dedicated video cameras today, you will see that they have an XLR in, which allows you to very easily connect to good quality professional microphones. One of the first things that everybody notices when they try and shoot video with these cameras is that the little microphone, I think we can see it on this 90D, it's just a little dot there right next to the flash button. That's your microphone. And if you rely completely on the microphone that's on board in the camera, you will notice right away that it's not very good quality. It can get by in a pinch, especially if you have your ambient audio levels way down and you're covering it with music. People might hear it a little bit, and it's okay. But if you're really wanting to feature the audio, it's going to sound unprofessional. It's going to sound a little tinny, not full quality sound like you might like. So what's the solution? Well, when you're walking around, getting those nice walk around shots, the B-roll shots to cover your interviews, what I recommend is to get a microphone that you can put on top of your camera. Just where the flash shoe is, you can just attach it right there. I use the Rode mic. I've actually worked with 3 or 4 different onboard mics from Rode. And the last one that I bought is the most professional one. I think they call it the Video Mic Pro Extreme or something like that. Anyway, when you're shopping, I recommend spending a little extra, getting the top quality one. And I believe you'll notice a big difference. So I just usually take that cable. It comes with a cable that you can actually unplug. So if something gets damaged over the years, if your cable becomes damaged, you can easily swap it out. You haven't lost the mic. You just swap out the cable. I usually like to wrap it around once so we don't have the cable dangling, and then I just stick it in to the mic input in the camera. And one of the things that I really like about the Rode mic is that it automatically shuts itself down when your camera shuts off, so that you're not wasting the battery. Sometimes with the older ones, you'd shut your camera off, put it in the bag, and 3 or 4 days later, you go to take it out and your battery's dead. Well, this one shuts down. You'll notice that when you turn on your camera, then the lights show up here. Another nice thing I like about this Rode microphone is that it has adjustments that you can make on the back to either lower or raise your volume up, have your dB gain up or down. And that sends a weaker or a stronger level signal to your camera depending on what you need for your setting as you're walking around getting those B-roll shots. Sometimes you might find yourself all of a sudden stepping into a classroom and the children are going to sing a big song in their echoey classroom. You're going to have to very quickly reduce the audio that's coming into the camera, so it's very handy to have those on the back. In a recent lesson, I showed you how, apart from the adjustments that you can make on the back of the mic, there's very quick and easy ways that you can adjust the audio on the camera body itself. And rather than repeat that, I'll just roll that clip for you. This little button here called the info button is your friend to help you understand what's happening more. Here, you'll notice that we now have audio meters for the video or the audio that we're picking up. And this is really helpful. I like to have this on all the time. I want to know if I'm getting good quality audio as I'm filming. If I start seeing it going into the red, then I know that my audio is overloading. I don't know if I can get it to do that right now, but if it is overloading, these meters will start showing up red at the very end of this little block here. And you'll know that you need to make some adjustments to your audio. Now, the Canon cameras do have auto audio, and that's a menu option that you can set. But I find that it is better to, especially when you're filming professionally, to have this set to manual audio, and then you can control how much audio levels are coming in to the camera. A good, quick, easy way to do that is our button over to the side. Now that's out of our shot here, but if you look at the back of your camera, you'll see just above the back wheel there's a button there that has a Q on it. And just press on that and notice how your screen looks then. It gives you all sorts of options that you can make quick adjustments to, and one of them is audio. Put your finger down on the little microphone symbol or icon that you see there, and now you can make adjustments to the manual settings of your audio. You'll see that you've got a little arrow this way and a little arrow this way, and here you are able to make manual adjustments to how much audio is incoming to the camera. All right, so a nice, easy solution for that B-roll footage. It's always a good idea to monitor the audio just to make sure that you're not getting a lot of wind noise coming through. So it's good to have some earbuds. I think I have some around here somewhere that you can attach and just have in your ear to make sure that the audio that is coming through is going to be okay for your edit. And if you are finding that you have a lot of wind noise, then reach into your camera bag and get that wind screen protection that you can put around the mic itself. It's called a dead cat, and it can come in very handy on a windy day. And if you don't have one of those, they're not that expensive. I think you can get a fairly decent one for around $30. Now, in a pinch, this microphone, this Pro microphone from Rode, can also be used for interviews. It's not the most ideal, but I say in a pinch, as long as you're fairly close to the person that you're interviewing, this mic will pick up some pretty good audio. It's a directional mic, and so as long as you've got the camera pointed right at the person that you're interviewing and you're close enough, you're going to get adequate audio for your interview. For people on a real budget, what I would recommend is that you have a partner, an assistant to help you, an audio person, let's call them, that for an interview you can take this off, and with an audio extension cable that you can get for $15, you can extend this audio cable for a good 12 feet or more, and have an assistant have the mic held very closely to the person who's speaking. And again, be sure you're monitoring that audio with your headphones, because with these non-professional audio cables, you might you want to make sure that you're not getting any interference or static because of the way it's connecting. So yeah, it's a good option, a good entry-level option to use this not only as your ambient audio recording device, but also for recording interviews. If you want to, you could even kind of strap it to a bamboo pole that you might find handy where you're filming with some black tape, And that way your assistant could be even using a fishpole and get the audio right close to the person who's being interviewed and still keep that social distancing that we're all concerned about, that physical distancing these days. Now, if you wanted to get just a little bit more professional in your interview audio, there's two routes you could go. You could go with a boom mic, a boom shotgun mic, something like what we're using here. This again is a Rode mic, and I should tell you I'm not affiliated with Rode. I just like their equipment, made in Australia, so high quality. And what you'd want to do again with maybe a fish pole, a boom pole, put your microphone close to the interviewee. The thing is, this is XLR audio, so making the conversion from XLR to 3/4 inch it's not advised. I don't think I've ever found any good way to do that. So what you need then is not only the boom mic, but a good recording device that takes the XLR in. I like this product from Zoom, and it's not only good for just taking interviews when you're just doing a print story, but also it can be used for this situation where you're doing audio for video. So your XLR mic comes in here. You've got the reference audio from the camera, or maybe you even still have this on as a backup to getting the Rode mic. And then just before you roll the interview, you do a sound sync. And then when you get back to the studio, you sync the audio that's being recorded to the card here to the audio of your video. And then as you do the edit, you're working not with the audio from the camera itself or even the backup audio from the onboard mic, but you're getting a very high quality audio using a boom mic recorded to a separate audio device. This is the way most professional film producers work. You have a dedicated audio guy, and his only job is to be recording the professional audio. He's got headphones on, making sure that every word that the person says is coming through clear, and you'll get really high quality results using that approach. But there will be times maybe when you're out there on your own, you don't have the assistant working with you, or the client couldn't come up with a budget for a separate audio guy, and so you're a one-man band. And it's sometimes difficult to do these types of audio approaches when you're on your own. Oftentimes what I'll do is recruit a local person with me who is affiliated with the project that I'm shooting, or maybe it's my driver, perhaps it's my translator. I'll get somebody to work the audio for me with the pole, and that can be helpful. The other route is to use lapel mics. And for simple promotional videos or a news report type of videos, it's quite acceptable to have a visible mic on them. Maybe it's a video blog that you're doing for YouTube or what other streaming platform that you have. It's quite acceptable to have the lapel mic. If it's a product that you hope to one day submit to a film festival, then if you are using the lapel route, you should try and hide the lapel mic under the person's shirt. Now, when it comes to lapel mics, there are a number of options. A popular one is a completely wireless solution where you have a transmitter on the person who's being interviewed, and then a receiver that you can attach to your camera or put on your belt and plug into your camera. Right now I have an XLR on for my regular video camera, but these Sennheiser lapel mics also come with a regular cable that goes to your DSLR camera. So you just swap that out with the other little cable that they provide. And then you've got a really high quality lapel, wireless lapel. The thing that I need to say about the wireless lapel solutions is that there are a lot of cheap ones out in the market. And so if your budget is low and you end up going with a really cheap one, you're going to run into some problems. One, your range is probably not going to be as much as you'd like. The people are not going to be able to be that far away from your camera without the audio dropping out. And the other thing is you're going to get interference just from people's cell phones that walk by or are near. And other power lines or whatever. There's the cheaper ones are just going to run into all sorts of potential problems when it comes to transmitting a clean signal. So if you are wanting to go a wireless lapel route, make sure that you have the budget. This set runs around $1,000 USD, and you really need to spend about that much in order to get a nice, clean, high-quality audio. Now, if you do have to keep your budget down, here's a nice little solution that's actually not too bad. I've found it works well for my wife's vlog, I guess we'd call it, for her YouTube channel. It's very cute. It's not that expensive. I forget how much I paid, maybe $200 USD for the first little set. It's real cute. The transmitter has a little clip on it. You can just clip to the person's vest, and then the receiver can just go right on your hot shoe again. And then with the cable that they provide, you just go from the output of the receiver into your camera, and you've got a wireless solution. The problem with the Rode, or this little Rode system, is that it's not the best quality audio, at least on its own, with just the transmitter and the receiver. In order to get a little higher quality, you need to buy a separate microphone that plugs in to the transmitter, and then you just attach that to the person who's being interviewed as a regular lapel. So they just clip this to their belt and bring the wire up underneath the shirt and have it attached. Now, if you have decided to use a lapel mic, there's some things that you should know about attaching a lapel mic to your interviewee in a proper way. If you're not careful here, you could end up with some really bad audio. You've probably noticed how some people attach the mic so it's upside down. And that might work for them because they might have a lapel mic that is omnidirectional. So it doesn't matter which direction it is, it's going to pick up good audio. But if you have a mic that is directional and you turn yours upside down, you're not going to it's going to be muffled, and the person, and you don't want that. If you don't attach it properly, the microphone might end up rubbing against the person's clothing material while they're talking. And that's going to make a nice scratching sound for your audio. So some care needs to go into how it is placed. You want to make sure it's a good distance down. At least that's the way I like it. If it's a person's wearing just a t-shirt, it makes it more difficult because there's no place to really attach it well, except right at the very top. In that case, you might want to get it further away, but make sure the mic is still kind of pointed to the person's mouth. T-shirts are difficult when you're trying to do an interview with a lapel mic. If I see somebody with a t-shirt, I usually just go the route of the boom mic. Or there's another solution we'll talk about in a moment. So the idea is you want to hide the wire, right? You never want to just have the transmitter just kind of resting on a chair beside the person, and the wire just comes across the person's shirt like that, and you just attach it. That looks very unprofessional. What we want to do ideally is have the transmitter maybe clipped to the person's belt, or clipped, or just maybe even placed on a chair in front of them, but the wire goes up underneath the person's clothing. And it's probably best if you just ask them to do that for you. Just tell them you want the mic to come up underneath the clothing, and can they do that for you? So they'll bring it up underneath, have it come out the top, and then you can work with it from there. Now, here I might just say, however, that in some cultures where you might be filming, it may not be appropriate, if you are a male photographer, to attach the microphone to a female in the village. Just getting that close, even in the pandemic, may be a problem. Maybe that's best to go with the boom mics until our pandemic here is over. But let's say the pandemic is over, but you find yourself working in a village where the customs and the culture is such that it might not be appropriate for strangers, especially men strangers, to be that close to the women to attach the microphone here. And so it's good to have a woman on your team. Maybe she's your translator, or maybe she is your guide, helping you work with maybe it's the field worker for the project that you're filming. Some woman that can help you out attaching the mic properly. And here's where you might need to train them in a little bit, because there is, like I say, a little bit of an art form to attaching the microphone. Now, how you attach the microphone is going to vary depending on the person's clothing. Does the lip of the person's seam of the clothing, is it open coming from the left or from the right? Does the material overlap this way, or does the material overlap this way? My shirt here that I have on today, the overlap is coming from the right. And so as I look at this microphone and I go to attach it, it's putting the mic behind the material of my clothing. And that's not going to work. So if I was to be able to attach it so the mic is on the outside, then the mic is pointing down. And that's not going to work, because this is a very directional mic, and my voice will now become very muffled. And so what you need to do then, and most mics can do this, you just take the windscreen off and then just reverse the clip, put the windscreen back on, and now as I clip to my shirt, the microphone is going to be on the outside. Now, what we also like to do is to get kind of a little bit of a loop of the wire itself to be on top of the material, so that when you clip it to the material, you've got a little extra layer there that's going to take the mic and bring it out further from the person's clothing, so that you don't run into that problem where the microphone itself is going to scratch up against the person's clothing. Some film producers don't like to use the lapel mic at all. They just say it looks so unprofessional, it's so distracting, it's not natural. People don't walk around with mics on them, and so to see them in an interview situation with the mic on, it looks too newsy, as if it's a news report rather than a serious documentary. And so they will go the boom mic route, where they've got an assistant holding it just out of the shot, or they will hide the lapel mic underneath the person's clothing. And that is possible. I didn't used to think it was possible, but a while back I helped my daughter do a film documentary, and she had done some research on this, and had ordered in some special two-sided tape or something it was. I'll maybe research that and put it in the link, the description below, where you could actually put the microphone underneath the person's clothing, completely hide it, and yet somehow, because of some, maybe it was a special wind sock that was put on top, it didn't cause the rustling or scratching noises as the person moved the mic up against their clothes. I was the one listening for the audio, so I was skeptical at first, but I was just amazed at this system where she could actually hide the microphone, the lapel mic, underneath the person's clothing, and no scratching noises. So it is possible. If you want to hide that microphone, just check into that solution that I'll put in the description below. Now, before we leave this wireless solution for doing interviews, there's something we need to talk about, and that is most wireless systems have audio controls on both the transmitter and the receiver that can be adjusted. And if they're not adjusted correctly, you can have a number of chances of the audio going bad or being too hot. It's overloading. If you don't have your settings right on just that first device, the transmitter, the person's microphone could be overloading just right at the very point of entry. So the signal that is transmitted to the receiver is going to be too hot. And the signal that then comes from the receiver into the camera is going to be too hot, and you're going to be overloading the whole interview. You might be listening to it and it's all kind of garbled, and you're wondering, well, what's wrong? Well, it's the settings on one of these is too hot. It's set too high. And the Sennheiser especially, I've noticed, is quite sensitive. You have to have it minus, I think, 16 or maybe even minus 32 dB gain on either or maybe both of these devices in order to get a signal coming to the camera that is a medium signal. And then, as we pointed out in a recent lesson, if you've got your camera on manual audio inputs, you have to also take a look and see where you have those settings set. And we showed you how on the back of the camera there's a little button above the main wheel that says Q. Well, that will show you a number of options, and one of them is the microphone. And you click on the icon of the microphone, and all of a sudden you can very easily adjust the manual settings of your audio inputs. And so be aware that if you're using this wireless system, you've got 3 points where you could go wrong in getting a nice medium signal coming in to be recorded to your camera. Your transmitter, your receiver, and the camera itself. So you have to be careful when you're using this. I've received a number of clips in from the field where everything looks great, but the audio is in rough shape, and it's overloading, it's muffled, it's got a lot of problems, and so it makes it very difficult to use the audio or use that interview. When I'm doing interviews, I like to use high quality headphones. They may have noise reduction, noise canceling built right in, so that the audio that I'm hearing is only the clean signal that's coming from the camera. And that way I can be sure that I'm getting what I need right on the spot. I would never want to wait until I get back home or back home to the office to listen to see what I got. You could lose a whole day's work because of static interference or muffled sound or overloading sound. You have to be very careful to monitor the audio while you're doing it in order to be sure that you're getting what you need. Now, in addition to the wireless solutions, whether it's the little cute Rode here or a Sennheiser solution, something else to consider if you're still shopping, or even if you already have a good wireless solution, you might still want to consider this, and that is a wired lapel. The advantage, I believe, of having a wired system, a wired lapel mic, is that you're never going to have to worry about cell phone interference with your signal, or maybe a cell phone tower nearby, or just powered lines close by can cause signal interference and ruin your interview. You might have to ask the person, oh, can you please repeat that? We had some interference. And it really disrupts the flow of the interview. Whereas if you're on a completely wired system, you don't have to worry about that kind of interference. It's not as popular. I found it very difficult to even find a place to source these anymore. When I first started doing video, this is what we used all the time. In fact, I think this is the same brand name that I used back in the 90s. It's the Audio-Technica Pro 70. And they just don't seem to be that popular anymore. But it's not because of the quality of the audio. The quality of the audio is great. It, I think, has more to do with the fact that it is an XLR solution. And so to use this, you also have to have a good recording device to go to if you are filming with a DSLR camera. So it's that extra step and extra expense of having the recording device. But it's, I think, a good solution to put your mind at ease that you are going to get good quality audio. The advantage, I would say, of having a wireless solution in your bag is if you happen to be working with a host for your documentary and your host likes to walk around while they talk. It's great to be able to just have that clipped to their belt all day long, and no matter what they're doing or saying, you can be rolling video from whatever angle you happen to be at. Well, you pick up the good audio from the wireless system. It's so convenient to have that option in your bag. But for interviews where the person is sitting just in front of you, this, I believe, is it gives me more peace of mind knowing that I'm going to get a nice clean signal. If you're having trouble sourcing it, I would check with music stores rather than video stores. They tend to use this to, I think, even mic their guitar. I think this is good for miking their guitar as well. And so that's why it's still available in music stores. That's where I found it. Now, if you are using some system where you're having to use your external audio recorder, whether it's your boom mic or a wired lapel solution, a good idea is to, you see that these devices have headphone out. Well, just take your little 3/4 inch audio, get the headphone signal out and plug that into the microphone of your camera and make sure that you've got good audio signals coming through. And you can adjust the volume of your headphones right on these devices so that your signal gets lower or higher, whatever you need. And also remember, you can adjust the audio that's coming into the camera on the camera body itself. So if you are going this route, make sure before you start your interview that you're getting nice clean signals on your meters. And to see that, you just need to make sure you press the info button in, remember, and you'll see those audio signals going up and down. Make sure that that's not redlining or not going too far to the edge. And that way, your video will already be audio synced to the high quality audio that you're getting on your microphones, whether it's the boom mic or the wired lapel. And you don't have to take that extra step of syncing up the audio in the edit itself. Now, the one thing I might say about this, caution about it, is that depending on the body of your camera, the preamps that have been built into the circuitry of the computer in your camera may not be the best. If you've got a consumer level camera that has a mic in, doing what I just suggested about having the audio recorded right into the video itself may not be as good quality audio as what is being recorded on the high-end recording device. So I would recommend the first time you try this system to compare the audio that your camera recorded to the audio that was recorded to your Zoom device and see which is better and decide for yourself which one you want to go with. All right, well, that does it for this lesson on getting good audio for your video. I hope that you found it helpful, and if so, go ahead and give us a like. That helps our channel. And if you haven't already done so, I invite you to subscribe so that you will get good access to the other videos that we release coming up down the road. So long for now.